Welcome back, intrepid listeners, to Mysteries in the Dark, the curious adventures of Luna Sparks and Omar Trekker. I'm your host, Luna Sparks, and with me, as always, is my brilliant, if sometimes a little messy, lifelong friend, Omar Trekker.
Hey, everyone. Messy is a strong word, Luna. Let's say creatively disorganized. And I'm Omar, ready to dive into another one of our, well, peculiar is definitely the right word for today's tale.
Oh, it absolutely is. Today we're taking a trip down memory lane, way back to when we were just kids, still honing our detective skills, solving mysteries that were perhaps a little less dark and a lot more bubbly. We're talking about the case of the burping backpack.
Ah, yes, Sir Burpalot's origin story. Still one of my favorite and most unexpected scientific breakthroughs.
Scientific breakthrough, you call it. I call it a lucky accident involving questionable ingredients, but we'll get to that. It was a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning. I remember it so clearly. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping outside my kitchen window, and you, Omar, were sitting at my kitchen table, probably already deep in thought, with a notebook, a banana, and your trusty backpack slung over the back of the chair.
Sounds about right. Probably trying to sketch out a new invention or decipher some ancient riddle from a cereal box. You know, typical Tuesday stuff.
Exactly. But that peaceful morning didn't last long, did it? Because suddenly, I remember blinking, doing a double take, and I looked at you and asked, Omar, was that you?
And I was rightfully offended. I distinctly recall saying, "Excuse me, that was not me. I have impeccable breakfast manners." Which, for the record, I do. Always have, always will. My mom drilled that into me.
You do have surprisingly good table manners for someone who regularly invents things that explode. But then, louder this time, and we both just froze. Remember? Our heads slowly turned towards your backpack, sitting there so innocently on the chair, almost taunting us.
Yeah, it was like a cartoon moment. My eyes probably bugged out. I'd never experienced anything quite like it. My backpack, the vessel of my knowledge and snacks, had just expressed itself.
I remember whispering, "Did your backpack just burp?" Because honestly, what other explanation was there? It was a burp, an unmistakable burp.
And I, ever the pragmatist, immediately shot that down. That's ridiculous, Luna. Backpacks don't have stomachs. Though, internally, I was already running through a list of possibilities, none of which included a sentient, gassy satchel.
But the backpack had other plans for your pragmatism, didn't it? It rumbled again, even louder. It sounded like, well, it sounded like a very satisfied, or perhaps very distressed creature.
I mean, it did sound biological, but I still refused to believe it. My backpack was a durable canvas and zipper creation, not a living organism.
I, on the other hand, gasped and declared, "Oh no, it's hungry!"
My first thought was always some fantastical explanation, like it had come to life and now had an appetite. And I groaned, trying to find a logical out. Don't be silly, Luna. It's probably just, air pressure. I was grasping at straws, I admit.
Air pressure doesn't sound like a dragon with a tummy ache, Omar. And that's exactly what it sounded like to me. A small, grumpy, possibly famished dragon trapped in your backpack. And just like that, the case of the burping backpack officially began. We had our first clue, the burp. Our suspect, your backpack. Our mission, find out what was going on.
And, as usual, you were much more enthusiastic about the mystery aspect than I was about the potential biological anomaly in my school supplies. But I couldn't deny, I was intrigued. My scientific curiosity was piqued, despite my initial skepticism.
Exactly. So we sprang into action. I grabbed my trusty magnifying glass, naturally, because every good detective needs one. And you, ever cautious, picked up a spoon. A spoon, Omar. What was the plan there?
Well, for poking. It offered a safe distance. I didn't know what was in there. It could have been anything. A territorial squirrel, a misplaced science experiment that had gone sentient. Or worse, a sentient, territorial squirrel science experiment hybrid. You can never be too careful.
True, true. You did wisely avoid direct hand-to-backpack contact. So, you tentatively poked the backpack, asking, "Maybe there's something inside. Something alive?"
It was a distinct possibility at that point. The burps were getting more convincing. And you, with your usual dramatic flair, declared, "Only one way to find out," and bravely unzipped the main compartment.
Which, let me tell you, was an act of courage. Your backpack, Omar, was a treasure trove of interesting artifacts. We found nothing, really. Well, almost nothing. Just your notebook, the half-eaten banana you'd brought for breakfast, and a few crumbs from yesterday's cookie stash. I remember wrinkling my nose. Omar, are you sure this backpack hasn't been to a snack festival? It smelled like old fruit and regret.
Hey, those cookie crumbs were evidence of a successful mission. And the banana was for sustenance, for fueling my brain power. But yeah, the initial search was a bust. Nothing obviously alive or burping. But then, as I leaned closer, ignoring your snack festival comments, I heard it. And you heard it too. A low gurgle, coming from deep inside the bag.
Oh, that gurgle. It was unsettling, like a tiny, churning stomach, and right as we were trying to pinpoint the source, a puff of glitter burst out of the zipper, everywhere. It swirled through the air like some magical explosion, landing in my hair, all over your glasses. We were literally sparkling detectives.
I was momentarily blinded and absolutely bewildered. I remember wiping my glasses, trying to get a clear view, and just muttering, "Okay, that's new. What on earth did I put in there? Glitter? Really?" My scientific experiments rarely involved glitter, unless it was for reflective purposes, perhaps.
I was just laughing, Omar, your backpack spitting glitter. It was so unexpected, so completely bizarre, it just made me giggle. But it also proved this wasn't just some ordinary gas pocket. This was something special. We emptied the bag completely, right? Books, pencils, the rest of the banana, which the backpack apparently did not like. But the rumbling continued.
Yeah, it was relentless. The burps, the gurgles, the mystery persisted even with the bag completely inverted and shaken. We were getting desperate. But then, you had that stroke of genius, or perhaps just exasperation, and really gave it a good shake. And out rolled
a small, round container covered in sparkly slime. "Aha!" I exclaimed, probably feeling like Sherlock Holmes. Slime, the culprit of the burps. I thought I had it all figured out. You know, like the slime was just bubbling or something. And I, still clinging to the last vestiges of logic, blinked at you and said,
"But slime doesn't burp either, Luna. I mean, I'd made plenty of slime. Never had any of it express digestive distress."
As if to argue with you, that little container wiggled on the table, and then, bloop, burp. The lid actually popped open, and a sparkly pink blob of slime jiggled out onto the table. It made this bubbly sound, like a tiny hiccuping frog. It wasn't just slime, it was active slime.
That was the moment my worldview truly shifted. My slime was alive, or at least very, very animated, and gassy, apparently.
I gasped, naturally, and turned to you with wide eyes. Omar, you didn't make living slime, did you? Because, let's be honest, that was always a possibility with your experiments.
I scratched my head, trying to recall the exact ingredients. I may have mixed in some of my grandmother's fizzy lemonade powder for extra sparkle. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Who doesn't want sparkly, fizzy slime? I just hadn't anticipated the digestive consequences.
Fizzy lemonade powder? Of course. You essentially gave it an internal carbonation system. I just started giggling. Well, congratulations, Omar. You invented burp slime. It was perfect. The name just fit.
It was quite the achievement, I must say. Totally unintentional, but an achievement nonetheless. The slime just jiggled happily, making those soft bloop bloop noises. It wasn't dangerous, thankfully. Just incredibly gassy. A gaseous, glittery blob.
And we decided to name it, remember? Sir Burpalot, because it just sounded so noble, despite its flatulent tendencies.
It earned the title. Sir Burpalot bounced around the table, leaving these tiny, adorable, glittery footprints everywhere. It was honestly quite charming, in a weird way. And then, you had another brilliant idea.
I offered it a piece of your leftover banana, you know, to test my it's hungry theory from the beginning. And what did Sir Burpalot do? It made a cheerful burp, a happy little sound, and just swallowed the banana whole, like a tiny, pink, sparkly vacuum cleaner.
It was amazing, and I sighed with such relief. Mystery solved, I said. My backpack isn't haunted. It's just home to a sparkly slime with digestion issues, which, honestly, was a much better outcome than a ghost or some kind of monster.
Exactly. And I, of course, declared it one for the record books, the case of the burping backpack. It was definitely one of our more memorable early cases. Not every day you solve a mystery that ends with a glittery, gassy pet.
We even built Sir Burpalot a proper home. A small jar, if I recall, with carefully poked air holes, essential for proper ventilation, you know, and a comfy napkin bed. He deserved a good home after all that burping.
And the label, caution burpy but friendly, that was my favorite part. It was like a warning and a welcoming sign all rolled into one. He was definitely friendly, just expressive.
As we cleaned up the residual glitter, which, let's be honest, stayed in my backpack for weeks, you looked at me and said, "You know, Omar, I think this might be your weirdest invention yet."
And I stand by that. It was truly unique. You've had some doozies, but this one took the cake. Or the banana, rather.
I grinned proudly then, and I still do. "Thank you," I replied. "I try. Because even the unexpected inventions, the accidental ones, they're still inventions." And then, right on cue, as if to thank us for its new home and its name, Sir Burpalot gave a happy little and jiggled. It was like he understood us.
He absolutely did. I giggled. Well, one thing's for sure. Our adventures are never boring.
And that, my friends, is how Luna Sparks and Omar Trekker solved one of their strangest mysteries yet.